Okay, so I do want to take the time and speak about Deco's time at FC Barcelona. And the reason why I want to speak about Deco is because there's a lot of heat that is going on Deco's name. There's been so many people on social media stating that Deco needs to come out, that Deco is not the right sporting director, that Deco is only destroying this club. And so what I'm going to be doing in this video is speak about Deco's transfer work at Barcelona since he came in back in August 2023 all the way up until today. Later, we're going to be talking about the one player Deco wants to bring in that is causing a lot of fire against his name, and that is Luis Díaz. Deco wants to bring in Luis Díaz to reinforce the attack, but the media and the Barcelona fan base have a hard time trying to say that, this is the right transfer, that this move makes a lot of sense. No, if anything, it is the opposite. Everybody's saying, what is Deco doing? How is Barcelona going to be spending this amount of money on a player that is so mid, right? What the kids like to say, mid, right? Why is Luis Díaz so mid? Why is he joining FC Barcelona? It makes no sense, and I do want to clarify that. And then later we're going to be talking about the interview that Deco had with Rack 1 that is very insightful. So this is going to be a massive, but I mean like massive video. So put on your seatbelts, get ready, get some popcorn, and so let's do this. And let's talk about the transfer work that Deco has had so far in the 2023-2025 time, right, within that time frame. So Deco is Barcelona's sporting director, and he took this job since August 16th, 2023, meaning that he oversees recruitment, sales, loans, and long-term squad planning. Now, there has been many key arrivals that Deco has made over the past, I would just say the first 6 months when he first came in. He brought in João Félix on loan from Atletico. He brought in João Cancelo from Manchester City, and he also agreed to sign Vitor Roque for 30 million euros. And he was planning to come in later that exact same season in January 2024, with letting go of Abde on loan to Real Betis and letting go of Ansu Fati to Brighton and Eric Garcia to Girona and Lenglet to Aston Villa and Serginho Dest to PSV. Those were the first 6 months that Deco had at FC Barcelona. Now, let's look at this, right? Were these the correct moves? Were these moves necessary to complement FC Barcelona and benefit Barcelona fully? And I believe that, yes. I believe that bringing in João Félix and João Cancelo made the most sense because we needed a left winger and a reinforcer in the attack. João Félix gave us exactly that, and he scored goals and provided assists. Was it the player that we ultimately wanted at that time? No, of course not, because when you have somebody like Javier Tebas saying that you can only spend 9 million euros in this summer, what are you going to do, right? When Javier Tebas is saying, oh yeah, you lost Sergio Busquets and the only player that you can afford is Oriol Romeu, what are you going to do? Tell me, what are you going to do with two loanees and a player like Oriol Romeu to replace the all-time great Sergio Busquets? So, Deco did what he could do, right? Deco can only do so much. And we brought in João Cancelo to reinforce the left-back position because we needed a player that can complement Alejandro Balde. And João Cancelo did well. He played on both sides. He played on the right back position when Jules Koundé was out, and he also played on the left back position if Alejandro Balde was ever injured. And then comes the signing of Vitor Roque. Here's the thing. I think that in any sporting project, you're always going to find mistakes. Always. Right? To say that, oh yeah, Deco did a bad job because Vitor Roque never worked out and we paid 30 million euros and we lost it. First of all, we have sold Vitor Roque already and we got our money back. We did not lose any money on the Vitor Roque operation. We brought him in for 30 million euros. We did not spend 60 million euros on Vitor Roque because that extra 30 million euros was variables and clauses and etc. and bonuses, which he never met. And we sold Vitor Roque back for like 32 million euros. So Barcelona did not lose money. Now you can say, no, but this was also a waste of time for Vitor Roque and Barcelona. Well, here's the thing. Like I've said, not every sporting project is going to be perfect. Every sporting director is going to be making mistakes, just like how Mateo Alemán, right, for what he did. When he first came in, he brought in Memphis Depay. Did the operation of Memphis Depay work for FC Barcelona? No, obviously not. Could have Mateo Alemán signed better players? Of course we could have. Right, we could have, but Barcelona were not permitted to sign better players better than Memphis Depay. And the whole thing with Memphis Depay just did not work. He also brought in Sergio Aguero. Did not work. I know that he had health problems, but you can see that Mateo Alemán made moves that in the end, it did not end up working out for FC Barcelona. And that was like one of his first few months at the club. And did we blame Matteo Lamine for making such moves? No, of course not. Like, why would we blame Matteo Lamine for making his first few signings? Like you're gonna be making mistakes. It makes sense. And even Joan Laporta said, going back to Vitor Roque, you know, like the Vitor Roque case, it's just one of those signings that sometimes, you know, it just doesn't work out, and it didn't. So it's fine. No one got hurt. Everything is okay. Now let's look at the loans, right? Because if we look at Abde going to Real Betis, are we talking about Abde today? No. Right, so I think that this is also a player that, even though yes he was good and he was glorified at Barcelona, at the end of the day the consistency is what mattered, and Deco did not see the consistency within Abde, because we're not talking about Abde today. Nobody's talking about Abde. He's not even used by Real Betis, and so we loaned him out for 7.5 million euros, and that is it, right? He just left like that. With Ansu Fati, another player that I just think that is out of Deco's control. He has been with us since 2019. He went on loan to Brighton because Barcelona just couldn't find any way to handle him. Ansu Fati finally came back, and he's still at the exact same level. So this loan of Ansu Fati going to Brighton was the correct move. Like, what was Barcelona going to do with the player? Eric Garcia went to Girona, upped his level, got helped by Mikel, right, who was the coach of Girona and still the coach of Girona today. And Girona in the 2023-2024 season had an amazing season. Eric Garcia found his confidence. He came back, and look where Eric Garcia is at today. Eric Garcia is a boss of a player, versatile. He can play in the CDM, in the center back position, on the right back position with no problem, and he never complains. Never. He's never like, oh no, I just want to play in the center back position. Like, why do I always have to get placed in the right back position, CDM position? He never complains. He's a professional, and the reason why Eric Garcia is at the confidence level that he's in today is because of that loan spell to Girona, thanks to Deco. Then we talk about Lenglet going to Aston Villa, who is now at Atletico Madrid. No one talks about Lenglet today, right? And that is not me trying to shame on Lenglet. I'm not trying to say that Lenglet is a trash player. No one talks about him today, and we're better off with our center backs that we have today, which is Inigo Martinez, Cubarsí, and Araújo, right? And then we talk about Serginho Dest going to PSV. Obviously, you know, I mean, like, what can you say? We have upgraded clearly with Jules Koundé. And Serginho Dest, even though he has been injured over the past 10 to 11 months, outside of that, he has not been so good. So we go into the 2024-2025 season, and this is where we bought a little bit more, and we brought in Dani Olmo, which was Deco's first marquee signing, bringing Dani Olmo in for 55 million euros, and that's because Deco did not want to Gundogan in Barcelona anymore. He came to an agreement with Hansi Flick that, you know, even though Gundogan did pretty decent last season, and he brought in 19 total goal contributions, you know, we brought him in for free, guys. 19 goal contributions in his first season. We let him go after just one season, back to Man City. Unfortunately, Gundogan was not ever the same player, because in the 2024-2025 season, Man City have just been poor. But Gundogan, I just think that, you know, like, at the age of 35 years old, it was safe to say that with these 19 goal contributions, it was time for Gundogan to leave, because Dani Olmo was going to be the clear upgrade to the number 10 position. And Dani Olmo, even though, yes, he had less goal contributions, which is like 2 total goal contributions less than Gundogan, it doesn't matter, because Dani Olmo only played about 35 games. Gundogan last season played 55 games with FC Barcelona. So Dani Olmo was more efficient compared to Gundogan. And Dani Olmo is younger. Dani Olmo is somebody who can give you more going into the next season. He's only going to get better. He has great chemistry with Lamine Yamal, with Lewandowski, with Rafinha. And I believe that this operation of Dani Olmo, it is amazing. Many people want to say that, you know, Dani Olmo never worked out for FC Barcelona, that he's underwhelming and this and that. Like, yes, I think that Dani Olmo could not deliver in big games, but we must give Dani Olmo time. It's not fair to say that Dani Olmo should leave after one season when, first of all, he was not even like 45% available, and it was his first season. Nobody said anything when Rafinha played in his first season at Barcelona. I mean, like, everybody was saying, there were some people saying that Rafinha was not good enough and he was a fake Brazilian in his first season at Barcelona, and they wanted him out after the first season. But look at where Rafinha is at today after giving him some time. So the same thing has to be said with Dani Olmo. With Pau Victor, 2.7 million euros from Girona. You know, obviously, even if Pau Victor doesn't work out and he's not being used as much, we can sell him in this summer for 5 to 6 million euros. That is a profit for FC Barcelona. So with Dani Olmo, it is a win. With Pau Victor, it is a win. Look at the fact that, you know, we reinforced our goalkeeper position midway, bringing in Szczęsny in October 2nd, 2024. Look at how great Szczęsny has been for this club. The amount of saves he has made. He has came in clutch. I know that in the last 2 or 3 months, maybe Szczęsny did concede more goals than he should have, but that is because of the defense. And I think that overall it was because of the defense, the midfield, and the goalkeeper. Overall, I would just say that it was a lack of team effort and concentration in the last 2 months. But overall, we picked the correct goalkeeper, a goalkeeper that implemented himself extremely fast from the very beginning. And so we have let go of Vitor Roque. We have, by this point, right, going into the last 4 to 5 months up until today, we have let go of Vitor Roque. We have sold Mikael Faye to Rennes for 10.3 million euros, Julian Araújo to Bournemouth for 10 million euros, Marc Gui to Chelsea for 6 million euros, Unai Hernandez to Al Hittar, I believe, for 4.5 million euros, Marcos Alonso free to Celta, Sergio Roberto free to Como, Gundogan free back to Manchester City, and all these operations ended up working out. Right, I don't see any of these players going over there and like upping their level. So we have removed the waste and upgraded our team overall. It's a much more balanced squad, I would like to think, right? Because when you look at the veterans, which is Dani Olmo, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Jules Koundé, I would add him in the mix, even though he's kind of like in the middle ground with Inigo Martinez and Frankie de Jong. It's a good mix of veterans with youngsters like Lamine Yamal, Kubarsi, Alejandro Balde, Gavi, Pedri. It's a perfect mix. A team that has great Champions League experience and youngsters who are going to reach top level. So all in all, I think that Deco has done a phenomenal job. And here's the thing. Deco has, to me, in my opinion, done a 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 job. Now, the one thing that is hurting Deco, even though there has not been any examples as of yet, is the fact that he wants Luis Díaz next. And to me, I can understand why people would say, why would Deco want Luis Díaz when Luis Díaz, he has not been able to be consistent with Liverpool, and he has not been, I would just say 100% available. Well, look, let's talk about Luis Díaz and why, let's just say why Luis Díaz could work at FC Barcelona. I'm trying to see eye to eye with Deco because honestly, I can see why Deco wants Luis Díaz. He can greatly upgrade Barcelona's attack. And once again, let's talk about that. Luis Díaz in the 2024-2025 season, 17 goals and 8 assists. This is great. Like 17 goals and 8 assists is really good, and despite operating farther from goal compared to Salah, you put Luis Díaz in the exact same goal range of Salah, Luis Díaz can come out with even more goals. He averages 1.92 dribbles completed per 90 minutes and 4 pressures gained per 90 minutes. This is underlying his superior dribbling and work rate. For Hansi Flick's side, he's really going to upgrade the attack. In the Premier League, he has scored 13 goals from 10.6 expected goals. So it's proof of sharper finishing and well-timed box entries. Once again, really good. And for a player who sometimes does play between the number 9 position and the left wing position. In terms of his playing style and tactical fit, he's a high rhythm winger, somebody who can repeat sprints over and over again. When you need him to run behind the defensive line, he's like, okay, let's go, boom, done. When you need him to carry the ball through the defensive line, he's like, okay, done, boom, go. He slots into Flick's high intensity press as well. He offers false 9 potential, drops deep. He can carry the ball 20 to 30 meters to break pressure and launch transitions. Very important for Flick's counterattacks. He has this trademark, which I believe everybody has seen by now, with his diagonal runs. He makes those 30 to 40 meter drives, threatening off the main striker and destabilizing the blocks that usually Barcelona do encounter in every league game. And then we talk about his technical abilities and impact on Barcelona's shape. He does beat defenders for sure through both technical skills, and he dodges, right, a lot. He loses his marker a lot, and covering Barcelona's weak side in the attack, something that Barcelona do need on the wings. The extra top speed allows him to win baseline duels, enables him to be very driven and to cut back crosses in open field. He can draw 3 to 4 opponents inside the box, leaving free space for his teammates. I believe that if you put him at a team like Hansi Flick's Barcelona, where it's much more vertical, more high intense, more, I would just say, goal oriented, like you need more goals, like this team wants 4 to 5 more goals per 90 minutes, easily Luis Díaz in this system can achieve 50 to 20 assists. That is my projection. If you bring Luis Díaz to this team, he can achieve 15 to 20 assists. For goals, I don't know. But for sure, 15 to 20 assists with players like Rafinha, Yamal, with Pedri, with Olmo, with Lewandowski, 15 to 20 is really good. Or equivalent to big chance creations per season once he is settled, right? And at 27, 28 years old, this whole myth about saying, oh, he's so old, like he's 28 years old. Okay, fine. Salah's finished then, right? He's 33 years old. He's finished? You're going to tell me Salah is finished. And he plays at Liverpool as well, by the way. So based off your logic, and you think that, oh yeah, because he's 28 years old, he's finished. Okay, then Salah's finished. I don't think you're going to say that. We all know Salah and what he did in this season under Arne Slot. He's not finished, and you guys know that. So to say that Luis Díaz is finished at 28 is unfair. I think that if Luis Díaz were to come to Barcelona, he can give 4 to 5 really good seasons. And I see Luis Díaz as somebody who is well concentrated, somebody who takes care of himself, right? You know, once again, going based off your logic, okay, Lewandowski's finished. Lewandowski did not do anything last in the 2024-2025 season at the age of 36 years old or 34 years old. He's finished, right? No, I don't think so. He's the leader of the Pichichi. So once again, you look at the characters of Salah and Lewandowski, looking at their high age, they're built. They work hard. They make sure that they are 100% healthy. Luis Díaz falls in this category. He can give us 4 to 5 really good seasons. And most importantly, I think that because he's 27, 28 years old, going into 29, 30 years old, he can mentor the La Masia talent in a very healthy dressing room. He can give these players expertise and more knowledge on what it's like to play in the Champions League, because Luis Díaz has always been in Champions League conversations. So his mentorship, his leadership, his maturity, his experience is really going to help our youngsters. Our youngsters do need that. They crave that. They crave it from Lewandowski. They crave it from Ter Stegen, from Szczęsny, from Inigo Martinez. It's really going to help overall and bring that balance. Now, the majority of the reason why the fan base are saying like Deco is doing a poor job is because I know that he's valued at 80 to 85 million euros, which I think that it is overpriced. Yes, it's true. I believe that Barcelona should not spend 80 to 85 million euros for somebody like Luis Díaz. If they have to, then so be it. But I think that Barcelona can do some renegotiations and have a realistic valuation, and I believe that valuation should be around 60 to 65 million euros, the exact same price range we have paid for Dani Olmo, and that is given his age and his contract. And I believe that Barcelona can do it. 60 to 65 for Luis Díaz would be a bonkers of a signing. I just think that yes, Barcelona, it's unlikely for them to pay 80 to 85 to Liverpool. It's not going to happen. And if Liverpool can come to us and be sensible and be reasonable with their price, 60 to 65 is a deal. Now, going back to this synergy that Luis Díaz can build with Rafinha, because I think that this is very important. If Luis Díaz were to come, it would help Lamine Yamal as well. And I say that because, look, the pressing, the physical edge, and the goal punch makes Díaz, I believe, a better fit for Flick compared to Rafinha. And you know, Rafinha thrives in wide. I can see Rafinha thriving in the wide right areas, give rest to Lamine Yamal, and for Luis Díaz to go on the left and attack the left channel and inside the lanes, rotate centrally. It could be amazing. I can see a front line of Luis Díaz and Rafinha and Lewandowski when Lamine Yamal does need rest. It's beautiful. It's high work rate wingers, something that Hansi Flick really does want in his team. And you know, despite the comparable raw metrics between Rafinha and Luis Díaz, I think that Luis Díaz's timing and pressing does add an extra dimension that you do not get when you do not have Luis Díaz in your team. Somebody who is so persistent in dribbling can rotate with Rafinha and Lewandowski for sure, because he can cover the wings and also the number 9 position, as he has, you know, he has been doing this over the past 10 to 11 games, and he excels in open field, over tight low blocks. Barcelona do struggle against organized defenses, like we did against Atletico Madrid, sometimes against Inter Milan, sometimes we saw even Leganés, a random team in La Liga, do this. And when you have a winger with driving power and crossing accuracy, it does bring you a sense of being more superior than the opposition. Luis Díaz can solve those organized defenses. And when you compare Luis Díaz to Nico Williams, Diaz does show superior in persistence, physicality, and product. And it is a phenomenal move in my opinion. Those aggressive diagonal runs interface well with Frenkie de Jong, Pedri, and Dani Olmo's combinations. And that's it, right? You know, he's at his prime age, 27, 28 years old. If there's a time to bring in a player like Luis Díaz, it is now. You balance that with his youthful core, providing leadership without blocking the youngsters. It's going to be amazing. I think that this thing about Deco wanting Luis Díaz makes a lot of sense to me. And so moving on from that, right, he did even speak about Luis Díaz during a interview with Rack 1. And this is what he said: talking about players who have contracts with other clubs is complicated. We like Luis Díaz and Rashford too. we like others too. So already you can see that it is confirming that yes, he is interested in Luis Díaz, and that is the first player that he even mentioned during this interview, which is insane. But moving on from the Luis Díaz conversation, now let's talk about the other things that Deco talked about in regards to transfers and just overall Barcelona news. So he talked about the goalkeeper position, which is something that I have talked about recently on X, and he stated the idea is for Ter Stegen and Tech to continue. It's true. If you think about next year or two, we would have to look for another goalkeeper. We have talented keepers at La Masia too. We could give them chances. As for João Garcia, I look very little at goalkeepers. I can give my opinion on players, but I have very little idea about goalkeepers. We're working to have information with a scouting department of the best players, and João Garcia is a good goalkeeper. So first things first, right? I am okay with Ter Stegen and Tech going into the next season. Even Deco, he agrees with that. Hansi Flick agrees with that. This whole notion and this whole idea about bringing in João Garcia is just short-term thinking from the media and from the fan base of FC Barcelona. The only reason why the fan base of Barcelona are saying João Garcia is because he had one decent season with Espanyol, and everybody's saying, oh yeah, if Espanyol get relegated into second division, that's a great catch for João Garcia because his evaluation is going to go down. Well, bro, why do you think Espanyol are going to the second division in the first place? Why do you think? It's because of the amount of goals they have conceded. João Garcia is not that good of a goalkeeper, and the only reason why you see him with more saves, more blocks, is because he had to actually make more saves and more blocks. You know what I'm saying? It's because of the horrible defense that he was working with, which was Espanyol. João Garcia is a average goalkeeper, and just because you see him at the age of 26 years old and because he is from Spanish does not guarantee me that he's going to be a great goalkeeper at Barcelona. He has had one good season, my friends, one, and I would not even say good. I would say like average, above average season. And you're going to tell me that just because he had one good average season with Espanyol, you want to bring him in? Okay, sure. Based off that logic, we should have brought in Mikel from Girona because he had one good season with Girona. I don't see anybody talking about Mikel today with Girona because the 2024-2025 season has been very underwhelming for that coach, and nobody talks about him today. And you guys were the exact same people that wanted this coach in the summer of 2024 over Hansi Flick, only because he had one good season. So this whole short-term thinking and saying that, oh yeah, because of this one good season, we got to bring him in, it's false. It's going to destroy this club. We need to see consistency. Could you do this times 5? Could you do this for the next 4 to 5 seasons? That is going to be the ultimate question. And with João Garcia, no, he's not going to do that for you. So that is it, right? It's not going to happen. Tech and Ter Stegen are going to be the ones because they bring leadership, they bring experience. They have shown time and time again why they can be relied on. You can say that Ter Stegen made a lot of mistakes in the past 4 to 5 years. I would argue and say that Barcelona overall, the defensive line have made mistakes over the past 4 to 5 years. And it is unfair to say that Ter Stegen should not work at Barcelona when you know that he has not been coaching with Hansi Flick in the past 9 to 10 months because of his ACL injury. That is unfair. Like, what's going on here? Let's give Ter Stegen some time under Hansi Flick and see how he does improve under this high intensity system. Let's give him that season. You can say, no, Ter Stegen is finished, Kevin. He's 32, 33 years old. I see that as young in life and young as a goalkeeper. Because when I see Buffon still playing at the age of 40 years old or 39 years old, 33, 32 years old as a goalkeeper is young, my friends. I don't see how you can say that Ter Stegen is finished and that he has no time to work under Hansi Flick. He's young. So let's move on towards the next one. And he spoke about Lamine Yamal, and he stated, Lamine Yamal has not asked to be the highest paid player in the team. He hasn't asked for anything. This goes back to the previous video that I have made. Lamine Yamal never asked. Okay, and I said this yesterday. Lamine Yamal never asked to be the best paid player at FC Barcelona. That is false. Okay, that is just the media trying to destroy the club. That is it. So he continues. As for his renewal, it's going well. He's a player with a level of maturity that isn't normal. I have a son the same age. For a player to show up with that much quality and self-confidence, we can't forget he's only 17 years old. He has to live his age, to be honest. As hard as it may be, he needs to be happy. A player at this level has to feel good. For me, it's not about whether he's 17, 26 or whatever. Football has to be, it has to be fair, and he should have a contract that matches his value. It's not about being the highest paid player. What matters is that he's happy. For me, there's no better place for him than Barcelona. Contracts usually run 4 to 5 to 6 years or something like that. And then he continues to say like, but what we want is for him to stay for a long time. We don't want to hear offers from PSG because they have asked. And Madrid, they did not ask. So that is it, right? Like he also spoke about like some signings, and he stated, for me, renewals are also signings. That's our priority right now. And then if the team can improve furthermore, we want to seal what we already have at the club. So very important for Deco to explain that, because I think that right now many people have been questioning whether Barcelona are going to be signing new players. Right now we have to prioritize the renewals. Once we get those renewals in check and we renew players like Frankie, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, etc., then everything's going to be okay, and we move on towards, okay, you know, we have this whole squad on lockdown. How can we improve from here? What players should we sign and what is feasible? And that is where Luis Díaz is going to be coming in. So that is it, right? That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.